The real story behind Shaunie O'Neal and Pastor Keion Henderson's split. Shaunie O'Neal's whirlwind romance with Pastor Keion Henderson once looked like a modern-day fairy tale. From the outside, they seemed perfect, both successful, admired, and deeply in love. But behind the smiles and picture-perfect Instagram posts, things weren't as flawless as they appeared. At first, Shaunie and Keion looked like the ultimate power couple. She had built a career in entertainment and business. He was a well-known pastor, admired for his sermons and leadership. Together, they appeared unstoppable. They shared vacations, loving messages, and photos that suggested a bond full of trust and support. But as we all know, social media can hide a lot. Long before the public knew something was wrong, rumors had already started to spread. Quiet talk of issues behind the scenes hinted that everything might not be as rosy as it looked. Then, the bombshell dropped. Shaunie filed for divorce after just 2 years of marriage. This wasn't just another celebrity breakup. The timing raised eyebrows. The silence between them on social media had become noticeable. And whispers about Keion's actions, both personal and financial, started to grow louder. Many people began asking, was something deeper going on? Or had their differences simply become too big to ignore? Their love story had all the trappings of a dream romance. Their wedding in Anguilla was extravagant, complete with luxury, celebrity guests, and romantic backdrops. Keion often praised Shaunie in public, calling her his queen. But even with all that affection, cracks had started to show, subtle signs that things were changing. Insiders say that although Shaunie supported Keion's work at first, she never fully stepped into the role of a pastor's wife. She had spent years building her own name and identity and wasn't sure she could give that up entirely. Slowly, she began pulling back. Her appearances at church events became rare. She stopped reposting his sermons, and her social media began focusing more on her own projects, family, and work, not her relationship. Then came questions about money. In August 2024, Keion made headlines after asking each member of his church to donate $2,100 to help reach a massive $4 million fundraising goal. That raised a lot of concerns. While some saw it as just another church fundraiser, others felt the request was over the top. Many asked why such a wealthy ministry needed even more from its members. Some longtime churchgoers began to feel uneasy. "I've supported this church for years," one member said. "Now they want me to give more than some people earn in a month? That doesn't feel right." Even Shaunie, according to sources, was aware of the backlash. Was this the moment she decided to start distancing herself? As people questioned where the money was going, Keion insisted it was for community projects and church expansion. But rumors began to swirl. Some claimed the numbers didn't add up. Others said church members felt pressured to give, even if they couldn't afford it. Then, an old sermon resurfaced where Keion suggested that blessings come from giving to the church, not the poor. That shocked many people. For a religious leader to imply that helping the church should take priority over helping those in need felt wrong to a lot of followers. For Shaunie, it became more than just a disagreement. She had spent years staying away from scandal, running businesses, and building her brand. Getting tied up in questionable financial practices wasn't something she could afford, not professionally, and definitely not personally. Soon after, Shaunie began taking clear steps to separate herself. She stopped attending Keion's sermons, avoided public events tied to the church, and went back to focusing on her businesses. But the money controversy wasn't the only issue. Not long after that, whispers began about Keion living a double life. These weren't just gossip anymore. People began to speak out about unusual behavior. Late-night meetings, odd disappearances, and secretive conversations hinted that Keion might not have been fully committed in his marriage. Then, a leaked audio recording seemed to confirm what many had suspected. In the recording, Shaunie reportedly expressed deep hurt and said her trust had been completely broken. While the full details weren't made public, the message was clear: something had happened that she couldn't ignore. Around this time, she shared a cryptic post on Instagram. While she didn't name anyone, those paying attention knew exactly what she was talking about. Walking away wasn't just something she wanted to do, it became something she had to do. Shaunie has experienced heartbreak before. As the ex-wife of basketball legend Shaquille O'Neal, she's been in the public eye for years. But this time, she handled it differently. Sources say she didn't leave on impulse. She had been planning her exit long before it became public knowledge. She carefully pulled back, kept her head down, and made smart decisions. Now, she's back to doing what she does best, running her businesses and focusing on her family. She's proving, once again, that she doesn't need to depend on anyone to be successful. Meanwhile, Keion is facing tough questions. His once thriving ministry is under scrutiny. People are rethinking their loyalty. Faith that used to be automatic has been replaced with doubt. This story isn't just about money. It's about trust, image, and reputation. It's about the fallout that happens when reality doesn't match the image presented to the world. Keion is trying to fix the damage. But is it too late? While Shaunie moves forward, focusing on her goals, Keion is trying to hold his world together. And although we don't know all the details, one thing is clear: something major broke between them. Did Shaunie leave to protect her peace, her career, or her values? Was it about the finances, the betrayal, or both? Was this just another picture-perfect relationship that couldn't survive the truth? And now, as we come to the end of this story, one thing is crystal clear: what looked like a fairy tale from the outside was far more complicated behind the scenes. Shaunie O'Neal's decision to walk away from Pastor Keion Henderson wasn't made on a whim. It wasn't just about a disagreement or a rough patch. This was a well-thought-out move by a woman who knew what she was worth and refused to let public image trap her in a private struggle. For years, we saw them as a power couple, smiling on red carpets, attending church events, posting loving messages online. But as we now know, social media can be the biggest illusion of all. Behind the filters and the carefully chosen captions was a relationship that had started to fall apart quietly. Shaunie had invested in this marriage. She stood by Keion, supported his ministry, and blended her busy world of business and entertainment with his spiritual platform. But when red flags started popping up, financial controversies, shady rumors, and a shift in his public message, she didn't look the other way. She took action. She didn't lash out. She didn't run to the press. She simply pulled back, focused on her work, and made a clean exit on her own terms. That kind of strength doesn't always make headlines, but it should. Because in a world where so many people stay in broken relationships for the sake of appearances, Shaunie made a choice to prioritize peace over pretending. Meanwhile, Keion is left dealing with the fallout. His once revered reputation is now under serious examination. Longtime followers of his ministry are questioning his leadership. Financial transparency is being demanded. And the trust he once had from the public is now hanging by a thread. It's hard to say if he'll recover from this. Maybe he will. Maybe he won't. But what we know for sure is that Shaunie isn't waiting around to find out. She's already moved forward, focused on her businesses, her family, and rebuilding her life outside the shadow of controversy. So, what does this story really teach us? It reminds us that love, no matter how perfect it may seem, requires trust, respect, and shared values to survive. It reminds us that behind the glamour, the luxury, and the carefully curated images, real life is still happening, messy, unpredictable, and sometimes painful. And maybe most importantly, it shows us the power of knowing when to walk away. Shaunie didn't just leave a marriage, she left behind anything that didn't serve her growth, her peace, or her future. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. So now, I turn it over to you. Do you think Shaunie did the right thing? Was she protecting herself from something deeper than we realize? Or was this just another case of two people growing apart under public pressure? Let me know what you think in the comments below. I want to hear your thoughts. Was this the fall of a fairy tale, or the rise of a woman who finally chose herself? And if you enjoyed this breakdown and want to hear more real talk about love, relationships, and what really goes on behind the headlines, don't forget to like this video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. This story might be wrapping up, but trust me, this conversation is far from over. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.